In this video, we will be preparing high ratio white cake. To begin, we're going to make sure all of our ingredients are at room temperature. Scale very accurately. It's the first step in the success of any product. When we scale our small items such as baking powder, soda, salt, we will use the micro scale. It is the most accurate, and those ingredients are the ones that can cause difficulties if mismeasured. We're going to start by putting the dries in the bowl. It's going to be your sugar, cake flour, baking powder, and salt, and they will be sifted together. When sifting, make sure that you push through all the excess. If there's anything left over that will not go through, discard. Next, we're going to mix the milk, eggs, and egg whites, and vanilla, making sure they are all at room temperature. Whisk them until fully mixed and incorporated. When we separate eggs, we have to be very careful that we do not get any yolk into the white. Although it can be a little time consuming, the best procedure is to do your whites in one bowl, one at a time, and then pour it into a separate bowl. This way, if one of the eggs gets a little yolk, we don't contaminate the whole batch. You can use the shell to shell method, or you can crack an egg with gloved hands, maneuver the yolk, and the whites come out. This method is quicker, but sometimes it tends to break the yolk. We're also going to be spraying the pans. Do not overspray or you will get a crispy edge. Take the pan spray and lightly go around the edge. You can go a little bit more than this. And then always put in a piece of parchment paper. This will help making sure that all of our cakes come out of the pan and we don't have to worry about them sticking. Whenever scaling butter, instead of using a quart container that will have to be washed, simply take a piece of plastic wrap, place it on your scale, and measure the butter out from there. To start the process, we will be putting in the dry ingredients into the bowl and the butter. The butter must be at room temperature. We're going to put the mixer on speed 1 and gently just pulse it a little bit so that the flour does not come out of the bowl. And basically just turn it on and off just for a few seconds until it can mix without coming out of the bowl. As this mixes, it's going to be on for 2 minutes. You'll see that it starts to become dry and crumbly. We always want to stop the mixer, scrape it down, and then the next step is going to be streaming in half of the liquids. You'll be streaming on medium speed for 2 minutes. Okay, so again, you're going to want to set your timer on your mixer, and we want to stream in slowly so that it will create a smooth batter. You can see it's starting to change and it starts to soften up. If we pour in the liquids too fast, it will get lumpy. And if our ingredients are not at room temperature, a proper emulsion will not form and you will see your batter begin to look broken, curdled. That's the technical term for it. There is a lot of scraping and mixing and stopping in this. So when we scrape, let's make sure we go around the bowl, underneath the paddle and the paddle. The next step will be adding the remaining milk mixture. We're going to do it in 3 additions, slowly adding. We're going to mix it for 2 minutes each time we add the liquid. And then we're going to want to scrape it down after each addition. So again, as you can see, there's a lot of mixing, slowly adding, but the reason we're doing this is because we want a nice smooth batter. So we're going to take our time. It is a more time-consuming mixing method. As you can see here, the batter is becoming a little bit softer. It is very smooth, but it is very thick. This will be one of the thicker cake batters that we work with. This recipe has vanilla in it. If you want to, many times white cakes will have a little bit of an almond flavor to it, so you can add a 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of almond extract as well. After the cake is fully mixed, we will be depositing it into our prepared pans. It is 1 pound 8 ounces into each of the pans. We're going to use our scale by placing the pan on the scale, tearing it back to 0, and then depositing 1 pound 8 ounces of batter into the pan. After scaling, if you have a little bit of batter left, just divide it equally between the 3 pans. Because the batter is rather thick, use your offset small spatula to make it as even as you can. Do not bang the pan on the table. After the cakes are in their pan, we will bake them on a full sheet. They can be baked right on the deck. And the advantage of that is that the deck is nice and flat. So we want to make sure we choose a sheet tray that's flat. We're going to put them in the deck oven at 340 degrees. And we're not going to check them until at least 25 minutes. Before we bring our dishes to the sink, let's really scrape them out to preserve our dishwater. So again, we're not going to check the cakes until they're set. You can see here, at this point, you're not touching anything, and we're going to gently lower the oven. As they start to bake, you'll see them start to dome. And at this point, I like to kind of just gently touch. If they're jiggling at all, you need to just put it back in, close the oven, and give them a few more minutes. You may find that there is a hot spot in the oven, so some of the cakes may not bake at the same exact time. You'll be able to tell. You're going to kind of gently touch this, and we could also use a toothpick in the center.